probably been there before. It's late, the paper's due tomorrow, and either you didn't read that book you were supposed to read, or you're just not sure what any of it's supposed to mean. You don't want to just not do the paper, so you go to Google and start asking some questions, and soon you have a truckload of sites of free information, and all of it is so good that it can at least get you out of Fville. You know, where bad grades live. And you know, the people at SparkNotes and Schmoop, they've said things so perfectly, you may as well let them say it themselves, and before you know it, you've got a 2-page paper that's mostly copy and pasted. And you know, not so much what you had to say on the topic. This borrowing of information for your own purposes happens a lot in schools. In fact, it's kind of necessary. But the way we use information and how it looks in our homework and other assignments can be the difference between getting that grade that makes your mom proud and zeroing out on the biggest assignment of the year. But what makes the difference? What's the difference between cheating and using sources to support your writing? I'm Cale Prindle, and today on Words from the Muck, we talk about how to steal from the best, all while avoiding plagiarism. So let's be honest, in a sense, nobody knows anything unless they learned it from somebody else. You're taught how to drive. You're told the story of Iron Man. You learn that green is the color of dirt hair. Dirt hair is what you might call grass if somebody hadn't actually told you that it's called grass and not dirt hair. The point is, every human operates on systems of knowledge, and they didn't just magically come up with it in their brain stations. Now, the more you learn, the more information swishes back and forth in your mind, and you start to make some really cool connections, and those connections link up with other connections, and soon you have new stories, new concepts and ideas, and new interpretations of the world and everything in it. Just look at the back end of any college professor's newest essay. What you will find is a list of dozens of articles and interviews and books that professor borrowed ideas from to help make those new connections. Plagiarism is when you use somebody else's work, but you don't tell anyone that you got it from somewhere else. And it's the not telling part that gets you in trouble. Here's how it looks to your teachers. I recently read an analysis of Nikki Giovanni's Kidnap poem, and I knew that this guy wrote it and plagiarized. How did I know? In the analysis, he took the time to explain that Giovanni's line, "Wrap you in the red, black, and green," had to do with immersing somebody in African culture. He knew this, he explained, because red, black, green referred to the colors of the Pan-African flag. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for somebody to know that without looking it up. I'm just saying that your average 17-year-old, if a teacher sees that kind of insight, they'll be shocked into wondering when you would have ever found that out. In this case, I asked the student, and he admitted that he looked up other analyses to write his own. So this is plagiarism. He looked up information, put it down on his own paper, and gave no indication at all that his analysis was helped along the way by somebody else. So what happens next? If you've been in this position before, you probably got a 0 on your work, and you were probably more than a little upset about it. Why would taking 1 or 2 lines from somebody else zero out the rest of the work you did? To answer that, we need to look at how schools operate and what schools value most. Have you ever heard a joke that was so funny you couldn't breathe for a while? The person who told the joke becomes like a comedy god to you. She becomes that person that other people talk about. Have you talked to Renee? She's so funny. Let's say that after you've been telling people about how brilliant and hilarious Renee is, you catch a stand-up special on Comedy Central, and the stand-up comic is doing Renee's joke word for word. What becomes frustrating to you is not that Renee told a joke that made you and others laugh. What bugs you is that you've been talking her up for her brilliance only to find out she's not that brilliant. It's not her brilliance. She just copied somebody else's work. School is kind of like that. A school wants to trust you. It expects you to maintain your integrity and your honesty, and it puts a lot of stock in you, your abilities, and your character. That's why you can earn rewards and scholarships for your performance as a learner. And when a school finds out that you haven't been completely honest, they look bad too. So if you're in high school, you lose the points on the assignment, but in college, there's a good chance you're gonna get kicked out. Plagiarism is the highest offense in the academic spaces. You don't play around with it. So what do you do? First, know what your teachers want. Teachers usually don't want a report. If they need information, they know how to use Google too. Instead, teachers wanna see you making connections between the information bits you've been studying. Maybe this means you have to look something up to give you more information to work with. Fine, do it! But you always need to fess up that you've been looking around. One thing I can guarantee is that your teacher will be more understanding to the fact that you dug around on Wikipedia for your paper than she will be if she finds out you copied it without telling her. All of knowledge is the network of connections made based on the information we find. In reality, making those connections is one of the highest goals in a school. It's important to know that your job is not to come up with something out of nothing. Your job is to look at the information you find and write out what you have learned from it. By being honest about your findings, you create an honorable image of your academic self, and that's something your teachers will respect. And you can respect yourself too. Thanks for watching Words from the Muck. In the comments below, go ahead and ask your grammar and writing questions. We'll talk to you down there. Or maybe we'll make a future episode specifically on your question. Please like and share our video if you've got people struggling with cheating themselves. And make sure to subscribe for more wordly wisdom. Until next time, farewell, good people. In fact, it's... But of course, when you're... So recently, have you ever heard of all not that you borrowed something and I'll answer him there and my